Disclaimer: this video contains enough content and is just for entertainment purposes, so don't spread hate and don't post negative comments. If you're homophobic, please leave. Thank you. When he gave himself to Mafia King to save his friend's life. At the moment the door opened, the doctor walked out, peeling his glove off, his expression calm but stern. Both Jungkook and Jennie stood immediately. Kim Taehyung is out of danger now. Doctor said his words steady. Jungkook nearly collapsed in relief, but he held on Jenny's hand tightly. The bullet missed his vital organs, but the blood loss was severe. We had stabilized him and he's on ventilation for now. He'll need 3 to 4 days before he can be considered safe enough to go home. Then keep him under observation and won't no stress a moment. Jungkook's lips trembled as he whispered, Can I see him? The doctor gave a small nod and left, instructing the nurse to let him inside. Inside the hospital, the young lay still pale against the white sheets, a tube helping him breathe. Jungkook walked forward slowly, his step heavy as if his heart might break if he moved too fast. When he finally reached the bed, his hands hovered above Taehyung's arm, afraid to touch, afraid to hurt him. But then Jungkook slowly, gently slid his fingers into Taehyung's, holding his hand with trembling care. His tears fell silently onto their joined hand, and with a broken step, he lifted Taehyung's hand to his lips. They kissed it again and again, whispering through his tears, Please only me, please, Tae, I love you, come back to me. Jenny quickly left the checks and giving them privacy. Hours later, Jungkook never left Taehyung's side. He sat there, his head resting on their joined hands, occasionally fixing Taehyung's blanket or wiping sweat from his forehead with the hospital towel. He whispered stories about their house, their small arguments, about how much he wanted to make Taehyung's favorite soup. Once he woke up in the evening, the room was dim, the beeping of the machine steady. Jungkook was drowsy, his head heavy when he suddenly felt some movement. His eyes shot up open. Taehyung's fingers twitched weakly against his. Slowly, painfully, slashes fluttered open. Jungkook immediately sat up straight, tears swimming in his eyes. Tai, his voice cracked. You're awake. Oh God, you're awake. Taehyung tried to sit up, but his body was too weak. Jungkook quickly pressed his shoulders down. No, don't move. Please don't. He quickly reached for the food tray the nurse had left earlier, spooning the broth carefully. Here, just a little, okay? With trembling hands, Jungkook led him slowly, making sure he swallowed without choking. He pulled the blanket up Taehyung's chest, fussing over every little detail. His movements were tender, careful, as if Taehyung was made of glass. Taehyung's lips curved into the faintest smile as he watched Jungkook panic and care for him. His voice was hoarse, weak, but the words still came. You're still here, he whispered. Jungkook's breath caught in his throat. He leaned closer, brushing Taehyung's hair gently from his forehead. Of course I am here. Where else would I go? You almost. His voice cracked, his eyes filling again. You almost left me. Taehyung's gaze softened, his lashes heavy as if each blink took all the strength in him. I'm sorry, I just wanted you safe, but I hurt you instead. I never meant for you to cry because of me. Stop, Jungkook whispered quickly, his voice trembling, pressing his forehead against Taehyung's head. Don't apologize, just rest tight, please. But Taehyung shook his head faintly, his lips trembling as though the words inside him couldn't wait. His eyes were cleared with pain, but also something deeper, raw, unspoken emotion. Yuki, he murmured, his voice fragile. I need to say this before it's too late again. Jungkook's heart skipped his pulse, racing his hands tightened around Taehyung's weak fingers. No, don't push yourself, he begged, his tears spilling. You need to heal first, please. Don't talk like that. But Taehyung's stubborn eyes, his weakened hand like a broken checker. You don't understand. I thought I was just forcing you to stay with me, that I looked like someone being you locked in this life. But every time I see you, every time you smile, I realize I'm not forcing anything. I His lips trembled, the word on the tip of his tongue. I realized I love. No, Jungkook cut him more desperately, pressing a trembling finger against his lips, his tears falling freely. Now, not like this. Don't say it while you're in pain, while you're weak. If you really meant it, then say it when you're better. Say it when you can look into my eyes without tubes and wires keeping you alive. Please, Ty, please. Taehyung's teary eyes locked into Jungkook's, and for a moment the room held its breath. His curves fainted to the faintest broken smile. Then promise me, Taehyung whispered quickly, his hand tightening even so tightly in Jungkook's. Promise you'll still be right here when I woke up again. Jungkook leaned down, kissing his knuckles softly, whispering through his tears, I promise I'm not going anywhere, ever. The young lad out a shaky exhale, his eyes fluttering closed again, but this time his expression was peaceful, almost trusting. Jungkook sat still holding his hand, whispering over and over in his mind as if his thoughts alone could keep the young alive. Morning, the pale light of dawn filtered through the hospital blind, painting the room in soft gold. Jungkook sat slotted in the chair beside the bed, his head resting on his folded arms against the mattresses. He hadn't slept all night, afraid that if he closed his eyes, Young would disappear. Young stared friendly, his lashes fluttering open, his gaze landed immediately on the sleeping figure beside him. Messy dark hair falling onto his face, soft lips parted as he breathed slowly, his hands still clutching the Young's weak fingers even in sleep. A faint smile tugged at Theong's lips. He stayed all night, slowly with that little strength he had. Theong lifted his hand and brushed the back of his fingers against Jungkook's hair. Cookie, he whispered hoarsely. Jungkook stared, blinking awake instantly as if his body was wired to Theong's voice. Tai, you're awake. Do you need something? Water? Are you in pain? His voice trembled with panic, his eyes wide. Theong gave a weak chuckle, shaking his head. Come closer. Jungkook leaned in without hesitation, worried his brows frowned. What is it? Tell me. But instead of answering him, used the little strength he had left to lift his head slightly, and before Jungkook could react, he pressed the gentlest kiss again. Jungkook's cheek. Jungkook froze, his breath hitching his cheeks, instantly blooming crimson. His wise, doe eyes blinked rapidly, unable to process what just happened. Young let his head fall back under the pillow, a satisfied smile twinkling faintly as his lips justified his exhaustion. Thanks for taking care of me, Bunny. Bunny, Jungkook stared at his boy's face. His whole face red, his heart pounding so fast that he was sure that the machines would pick it up. You shouldn't be calling me things like that when you're just out of surgery. The young weak laugh filled the room, soft but genuine. But it suits you, soft, warm, always hoping around, worrying for me. His eyes soft and lingering on Jungkook's flustered expression. I like it. Jungkook buried his face in his hands, groaning in embarrassment. You're impossible. The young smiled widen faintly, but his gaze grew tender as he watched Jungkook, his heart aching in a way that was far from pain. The room was quiet except for the soft beeping of the heart monitor and the sound of Jungkook's fussing, adjusting the young blanket for the fifth time. The last time when his cheeks were still warm from that kiss, and the word bunny echoed in his head like a broken record. The young half laid on the bed, spread at him easily, and blushing again. I'm not. Jungkook stamped out too quickly, turning his face away. The door creaked open just then, and Jackson strolled in with a file in his hand, his usual grin plastered on his face. I looked between Theong and Jungkook, immediately sensing the air of embarrassment. Well, Jackson teased, crossing his arms. Looks like our scary mafia boss is a personal nurse now. Jungkook asked, should I get your uniform, maybe with little bunny ears on it? Theong, Jungkook yelped, face burning as he jumped to his feet. Stop saying things like that. Theong raised a brow, spanking at Jackson. Careful, you're walking on dangerous ground, Jackson. But before Jackson could reply, the door swung open again and Jenny entered carrying a small bag of fruit, her eyes immediately narrowing at Jackson's mischievous grin. Personal nurse, Jenny repeated sharply, grinning at him. Are you blind, Jackson? Can't you see he's not just a nurse, he's the young lover? The entire room froze. Jungkook started drop. No, he squeezed his face like a tomato. Red. Jackson Green faltered. I was just joking. No need to. Jenny smacked the back of his head. Idiot. You think this boy is just taking care of him? Look at his face. Look at the way he's holding his hand. That's love. The young still lying in bed couldn't hold back the low chuckle that escaped his lips. His gaze slid to Jungkook, who was frantically waving his hand, stuttering. No, that's not. I'm just. Bunny, Taehyung interrupted softly before Jungkook whipped his head around to him. His eyes twinkled with amusement. Don't waste energy denying it. Jungkook's mouth fell open, speechless, his heart hammering against his chest so hard he swore everyone could hear it. Jenny crossed her arms dramatically, nodding as if she would just declare a royal decree. Exactly, lover. End of discussion. Jackson groaned, rubbing his head. Great. Now I'm the bad guy here. But Young only smirked wider, his eyes never leaving Jungkook's flustered, panicked face. Lover. He loved how that first sounds. The room was unbearably hot for Jungkook. His ears, his cheeks, even his neck burned. Red as Jenny proudly announced, lover, like she was declaring him husband of the year. No, I'm not. I mean, Mr. Mafia King. He's just Jungkook were tangled together in a mess as he frantically waved his hand. The young tilted his head still against the pillow, smirking lazily. You're cute when you panic, Penny. Don't call me that. Jungkook squeezed his voice higher than usual. His heart was doing somersaults and his head screamed at him to run, and so did he. Without another word, Jungkook spun around, nearly tripping over his own feet, and bolted out of the hospital room. The door slammed behind him, leaving only a stunned Jackson, a smug Jenny, and a deeply amused Young. Jenny crossed her arms, smirking knowingly. See? About Jackson groaned, dragging a hand down to his face. Jagia, you're going to scare the poor kid away at this rate. But Young chuckled under his breath, his eyes still fixed on the door. Jungkook had run through, scared, maybe, but he ran away blushing. His lips curved into a soft, rare smile. That's not fear, it's something else. Jenny gave him a sharp but almost fond look. Then don't mess it up, Young. He is not like us. Don't you dare hurt him. Young's mouth faded into something softer, more thoughtful. He looked down at his hand, the one Jungkook had been holding earlier, the warmth still lingering there. His chest ached in a way he wasn't used to. I won't, he murmured almost to himself. Not him. Jenny raised up, sharing a knowing look with Jackson. The gold mafia boss has never sounded so certain before. Jenny sat down in a chair beside Young's bed, her sharp gaze fixed on him. Young avoided his eyes at first, pretending to flip through the file Jackson had left behind him. But Jenny wasn't fooled. You know, she said softly, her tone a mix of hurt and steel. I can see it, Young, the way you look at him. You love him. Young's hand still on the paper. He didn't look up, but a faint twitch in his jaw betrayed him. Jenny leaned forward, voice tightening. And hello, he loves you too, even if he hasn't said it yet to you, but you paused, her eyes narrowing. That doesn't erase what you did. You blackmailed him with my life, my child's life, just to keep him with you. Do you understand how wrong that was? The word hit him harder than the bullet's head. Slowly, Theon set the vial aside and finally met her gaze. For once, the furious Mafia King didn't look untouchable. He looked guilty. I know, he admitted, his deep voice low. I know, Nana. The words slipped out naturally, soft, almost broken. I'm selfish. I was selfish. The moment I saw him, I just wanted him by my side. I didn't care what way I had to use. He swallowed hard, straining down at banded chest. I was wrong. Jenny's expression softened just a little at his honesty, but she betrayed for him. When you need to make it right, he deserved more than just chains disguised as protection. Theon nodded slowly, his eyes dark with determination. Now I'll apologize to him, I swear, but more than that, he looked up, voice steady. I'll make him happy. I'll protect him with everything I have, Nona. I won't ever harm him again, not with my words, not with my choices, even if it means letting him go someday. Jenny studied him in silence for a long time, then unexpectedly her lips curved into the faintest smile. You really mean it, don't you? Theon's gaze softened far away, like he was already picturing Jeffrey's spin smile. I do, Jenny exhaled, leaning back in his chair. Then prove it to him, not to me. Because Jungkook may forgive you one day, but he'll never forget, and it's on you to replace those scars with something better. Young nodded, a flicker of resolve burning in his eyes. I will, he said simply, I promise. The car ride back to mansion was quiet. Jungkook sat beside Taehyung, his hand hovering near the oldest man's arms, like he was ready to steady him any second. Taehyung, still pale from the injury, stared off the tinted window. In silence, instead, Jungkook helped him out of the car and up the stairs. His hands were gentle, his eyes scanning Taehyung every second. Careful, Mr. Mafeking, he murmured automatically, his voice softer than he expected. You're still weak. Taehyung gave a faint, tired chuckle. Taehyung, he corrected. You can call me Taehyung. Jungkook hesitated, then nodded once. Taehyung. They reached the bedroom. Jungkook set the blanket over him and started arranging the pillows behind his back, but Taehyung caught his wrist, halting him. Stop. Taehyung said quietly. Sit with me. Jungkook blinked at him, unsure, but sat on the edge of the bed. Taehyung hand still let go his voice. His fingers trembled slightly, but not from the want, but from what he was about to say. Jungkook, his voice was deep and unsteady. I need to say something for everything I have done, keeping you here, threatening you with Jenny, using my power to hold you near me. He swallowed hard. I'm sorry. I was wrong. I was selfish, and I'll never forgive myself for that. Jungkook stared at him silently, his heart twisting at the sight of the man who had once terrified him, now sitting on vulnerable before him. Taehyung went on, his eyes glistening. I love you, Jungkook. I didn't even know when it started. The way you looked at me at the wedding, your eyes, his voice cracked for the first time. I'm not going to force you again. If you don't feel anything from me, if you don't want to stay in this house, which I know was a prison to you, you're free to go. I swear on my love, you'll never see my face again. If my presence still scares you, I'll disappear. He looked down, hiding his face, his voice breaking. I just want you to be happy, even if it's not with me. For a moment there was silence, then Jungkook hand lifted, trembling slightly. He hit Taehyung's chest, not hard but enough to make the older man look up in shock. You idiot. Jungkook snapped, tears spilling down his cheeks. First you make me fall in love with you, and now you're telling me to leave. How cruel can you be? Taehyung froze, eyes wide. You what? You're not obsessed, okay? Jungkook went on, his voice shaking. If you were, you wouldn't care about my comfort. You wouldn't change your clothes styles, your whole self, just to make me less scared of you. Yeah, you did wrong before. I hated you for it, but his voice soft and breaking. Things have changed. He wiped his eyes with his sleeve, looking at Taehyung with so much raw honesty. It made the man breathe. Hitch, I love you too, Kim Taehyung. For a second, Taehyung didn't breathe. Then, almost in disbelief, he whispered, Jungkook. Jungkook's hand trembled as the up Taehyung's face, thumb brushing the tears from his cheeks. Don't you dare despair from me, he whispered. Not now. And before Taehyung could speak again, Jungkook leaned in and kissed him. It wasn't a perfect kiss, it was messy, trembling, full of tears and pent up emotions. Taehyung's hand rose weakly, one finding Jungkook's jaw, the other clutching the back of his shirt, as if afraid he might vanish. Jungkook's lips were warm and desperate against his, and Taehyung kissed back with everything he had been holding in for so long. When they finally pulled away, both were crying. Taehyung pressed his forehead to Jungkook's, his lips brushed against the youngest as he whispered, I love you, Momani. Jungkook smiled through his tears. I love you too, Mr. Mafia King. No, Taehyung. Taehyung smiled, laughed softly, choked and beautiful, before pulling Jungkook into his arms again, this time not out of power or guilt, but out of love. To be continued.
The bell icon for getting immediate notifications for further videos. Thank you for reading.